Hey you guys, and welcome to this month's project. We'll be making a teapot wind chime that you can hang indoors or outdoors. We have your list of supplies as usual, everything that came in the box. And for those of you who haven't signed up yet, you can make this on your own. Just gauge the bead size when you're out shopping based on your teapot. So get your teapot first. We have some variations for you. If you'd like to paint your teapot, we recommend spraying it with a primer made for stainless steel, maybe another color. If you want to paint some designs on it, you can use plain acrylics, but if you're going to hang it outside, get a spray coating, clear coat that is UV resistant and weather resistant. Okay, so let's get started. Let's prep our teapot. Went ahead and place the teapot upside down on a towel on a stable surface. You'll see the holes marked on the bottom. Take your screw and lightly tap until you pierce a small hole. You don't want the screw to go all the way through. Complete all 5 holes on the bottom. After you have all 5 of your holes, you are going to turn your teapot right side up. You'll notice the 2 holes that we need to make now on the lid. And we're going to place the lid on the towel. And I did this by hanging the other teapot off of the counter. So we're going to do the same thing. The lid is a little bit harder, so you might have to tap a little bit more to pierce that hole. And there we go. We're ready to move on. Next, we want to prep our spoons. So the goal here is to create a loop to hang the spoons from the back. So we're going to go ahead and take our 18 gauge wire and we're going to wrap it around a few times. You can play with this just to get the wire to do whatever you want. Again, the loop should be against the back of the spoon. Once you wrap it around a few times, you'll see you have 2 tails left over. You're going to go ahead and you're going to bend one of those, creating a loop. And you're going to simply take the other tail and just wrap it around. And again, just work with it just to create a secure little loop. We're only going to be putting some of the Medallion flex wire through it, so it doesn't have to be a humongous loop. It doesn't even have to be completely pretty. As you can see here, I still have winter hands. That's going to go away soon because it's spring now here in Michigan. So again, just twist it up any way you can, create a small loop, and you'll be able to hold it up. This is going to hang from the teapot. Go ahead and repeat with the rest of your spoons. So now we're going to be making the droplets that come out of the spout on the teapot. We're going to hold 3 of the Medallion flex wires at the same time and kind of line up the ends. And we're going to take our crimp bead and put it through all 3. And you could, of course, thread those through one at a time if they're not being nice. So once you get that through, all 3 there. Go ahead and add a stopper bead. These are the small black beads that we're adding. Go ahead and place that stopper bead through all 3 of the wires. And now we take all 3 wires. You might have to kind of adjust just to get it through. And go around that stopper bead and take all 3 and go back through the crimp bead. So it's going to end up creating a loop with the stopper bead on the end. And again, you can fish the wires through one at a time, not a big deal. Pull everything through. Leave as much of the wire as you can, because you definitely want it as close to the end as possible. Once you pull it as tight as you can, You're going to grab your needle nose pliers and we're going to crimp. So crimping is basically taking the pliers over the crimp bead and then kind of pressing down a few times. That's going to hold everything in place. And I'll do it again just a couple more times, just to make sure things are nice and secure. Obviously my camera keeps focusing. We're practicing with some new equipment here so that we can bring you these videos as close up as possible. We're going to go ahead and just trim the end wires. It doesn't have to be super perfect. This is going to be placed in the inside of the teapot. You're not even going to see that stopper bead. It's just helping us create some stability, which we all need in our lives, right? So now when you open your teapot, you see little strainer holes for the spout. We want to try to fish all three of these through the center hole. Again, you can do it one wire at a time. Sometimes it's easier that way. This teapot is a little bit small, so, and I have like big fat hands, so yeah. You just kind of keep pushing it until all three of those wires come out of the spout. And just wait till you see what we're going to do, because it's really super cute. Here we go. We're going to take our last one and thread it through that center hole. And then you'll see exactly how the crimping and the stopper bead works together so that when we pull on it, it's stable. So now all three of our wires are hanging out of the spout, and it's time to add our little drop beads. The goal here is to add all three drop beads at different heights, so you don't have to be super crazy in measuring. We're going to fish the wire through our first bead and kind of place it where we want it. And then we're going to take a crimp bead. This is a little bit different way of crimping, and in your set of instructions that came with this month, I believe it's method 1. Go ahead and place your crimp bead after the drop bead. And for this one, you are going to go around the crimp bead with the wire. If I can get it to stop moving. And you're going to go out through the other end. So you'll see I'm making like a full circle with the wire and going around the other side of that crimp bead. I'm going to pull it as tight as I can, just like we did the first time. There's no stopper bead here. And once that happens, we're going to go ahead and crimp it with our pliers, as you will see in a couple seconds. Just kind of play with it, get it as tight as you can. And here we go. We're going to crimp it. Again, just squeeze a few times in a few different spots in that crimper bead so that it stays up. And for this one, we're going to go ahead and trim the wire with scissors. Once you're done with that one, you can put the remaining two on. And remember, different heights. Super cute. So we'll go ahead and see that really quick. You could always stop and pause the video if you want to see something again, or if you need a few minutes to catch up. I usually try to keep these videos really short. However, this project involves a few jewelry making skills that are pretty invaluable. There's our last one going on, and now it looks like it's pouring tea. I mean, how cute is that? our center medallion. This is the cutest little bird medallion I've ever seen. I picked it out just for you guys. We are going to prepare one of our strands. You'll see in your instructions which one to use, with a crimper bead and a stopper bead, just like you did in the very, very first step. And we're going to crimp it. Again, your needle nose pliers, crimp a few different times. Again, this part is going to be inside the teapot, and for the center, you guessed it, you're going to fish the wire through the center hole from the inside out through the bottom of the teapot. I suppose if you really wanted to get fancy, you could fish it through first and then put the crimp bead on. However, when I did that, I kept pulling it through and it was really annoying. So this is the way I did it. So now we see our strand coming out of the center. It's nice and secure with that crimp and stop bead. And it's time to add our bird medallion, because that is what goes first. With this bird medallion, we don't want it flipping around everywhere. So we're going to put it through the top loop. We're going to take our flex wire down and we're going to put it through a tiny hole that's at the bottom. That'll keep it nice and flat for us. This, I believe, we're going to place about 4 to 5 inches from the bottom of the teapot. Luckily, the medallion stays in place, so it's pretty easy to get everything else on. You're going to go ahead and add your beige glass beads. And then we're going to add the purple bead. And then we need a tiny crimp bead. Okay, so we've got all of our beads and our crimp on, and it's time to add our silver bell. Place it right through the top hole of the bell, and then you need to add the ringer of the bell. You'll see the crimp bead kind of sneak through there. We don't want it under there. We want it above the bell, so we can adjust that in a minute. So you need to put it back through there. So we need to add our ringer. You're going to add that through the top loop of the ringer because we still want it to be able to clink against the bell. I'm trying to get this over so that you guys can see. Okay, here we go. Through the top figure 8 of the ringer. And now what you're going to do, you want to get that crimp bead pushed back up against that purple bead, but you need to fish the flex wire back up through the bell and then through that crimp bead. See the crimp bead against the purple one? Here it goes. See it? You'll see it in a second. There it is. So go ahead and fish that through. Now when you crimp this one, you can leave a little bit extra on the end versus cutting it, and then kind of put it, hide it up the purple bead. Just a little trick so you don't have anything sticking out. We're going to have to crimp it, and then we're going to trim the wire. Again, if you want to leave a little bit and tuck it in the purple bead, go ahead. Okay, so we've got our center. Now we're going to do the same thing with our spoons in a couple seconds. The spoons do not have to be all at the same height. You need to do your crimp bead and your stopper bead. So crimper bead, then your stopper bead, and you guessed it, you need to come back through the crimp bead and secure it with your pliers. Okay, so we're just going to pull that through. You can see I already have one spoon on there. Just magically appeared. You can go ahead and move all the ones that are finished out of the way a little bit so that you have room to work. So now with this one, we're going to add 4 of our iridescent beads. So here we go, adding those. There's 1. Of course, we have 4 of those going on there. And then we have a purple bead going on. And another iridescent bead. I love these colors together. You guys, they're so pretty. And then you guessed it. We're going to need a crimp bead. And now it's time to add our spoon. We're going to fish that flex wire. Look at that. We're going to fish the flex wire through the loop that we made on the spoon. You want your spoons to be facing outward. Again, put it right through the flex wire. And can anybody guess what's going to happen next? It's not the crimping part. Haha. Again, your spoons don't all have to be at the same height. It looks really cute and topsy-turvy when it's not anyway. But you do want to get it so that, again, the spoon handles are going to clank against the bell. So what I do is I fish that flex wire back through the crimp bead, and simultaneously I will adjust where those beads will hang in reference to the other spoons and the bell. And as I do that, I'll pull it tighter and tighter. So I'll adjust and then kind of pull it through the crimp bead, adjust again to make sure I have it right where I want it. And if you want to hold it in place, you can hold up your teapot just to see where it's going to lay. Once you're satisfied with the results, pull your flex wire all the way through the crimp bead. There we go. I'm satisfied with that. So what I'm going to do next is, guess what? Probably grab my needle nose pliers. And give it a little crimpy. Again, you can just leave a little bit of a tail when you trim that wire and then tuck it up under the bead. But you don't have to. So we'll cut that, and there we go. What you want to do is finish the rest of your spoons. Now that we have all 4 of our spoons, our medallion, we're going to do our handle. Now it's time to do our handle. I'm going to create our handle to hang our teapot, and we're going to have beads down one side. Almost said beans. So you guessed it. This one's a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and place our crimp bead and then place a stopper bead. And we're going to take the flex wire back through the crimp bead like we've been doing in the past. And then we'll secure it with our pliers. Oops. I'm a lefty, you guys, so trying to is kind of fun. focus. Okay, now that that's secure, we need to place it in one of the holes from underneath the lid. Again, we want the stopper beads hidden. So we'll place that in one side, and it should come out the top. Come on. Now for this one, what we need to do is we need to add our beads in. You can add them in any order you want. I did opposites. Now we're just adding our beads one by one. So now we need to secure the other side. And how we're going to do that is we're going to place the flex wire through the remaining hole on the lid. Here we go. We're going to pull it through, not all the way because you kind of want your handle long so you can hang it from ceiling or wherever you need to. And then what we're going to do is add our crimp and a stopper bead, and of course secure it with your pliers. We'll just secure this, we'll trim it up, and voila. I hope you guys enjoy this project. When it hangs, the lid will be a little bit open so it looks like you're pouring tea, as you can see in this picture. For those of you who haven't subscribed, we hope you had fun making this project and you were able to find all the supplies that you needed. But if you want to take the guessing game out of crafting, you can always sign up and be a member. We send out a really cool project every other month, complete with all the instructions, video instructions, and exactly the right amount of supplies that you need to get it done. So like us on Facebook, tell your friends, and we will see you guys soon.